Welcome to the Fieldhouse. It's week 3 of the Fieldhouse, week 3 of Texas high school football season. And of course, we're here talking Texas high school football, joined by Bob Shipley, Tim Buchanan, and Carl Padilla. And we got a lot to talk about this morning. And Carl, I'm actually going to kick it over to you to start with any storylines, anything in particular involving Texas high school football, I might add, that you're really paying attention to as of right now.
Well, yeah, realignment's always going to be at the top. But just to go over last week, we had 2 7-0 games. Leon beating Dawson and Seven Lakes beating Foster. On the other end of that, Brandeis beat Sotomayor 48-46 in 3 overtimes. And maybe the most important storyline, other than all the cancellations in the Dallas and Fort Worth area, was that Dilley was supposed to be home to Comfort last week. They moved the game to Pearsall because of the bee swarming in Dilley around the stadium. So that was an interesting thing to have happen. Katie and Mark are actually both 0-2, which hasn't happened to Katie since 2008. Don't feel sorry for Gary Joseph. He wound up winning state that year. Mark started 0-2 in 2009. And all the 9-team districts, and Greg Riddle wrote a very nice article in the Dallas Morning News yesterday about coaches expressing their opinions on 9-team districts, and with all the cancellations last week in the Dallas and Fort Worth area, how a lot of these teams are only playing one non-district game because their other one got canceled by weather, and now they're starting district this week. So all that's kind of interesting stuff. The other thing I wanted to bring up is I took an informal poll with my guys, and if you want to see how realignment may turn out this year, 54.3% of the teams or the schools responding have smaller enrollments than 2 years ago. Only 31.4% have larger enrollments, and I call anything between 0 and 5 of 2 years ago the same. So 14.3% of them have the same enrollments. So if those numbers are accurate, we could see every conference division break going down this year, except for the bottom of 2A Division II, which is pretty much the same every realignment.
I got to go back to the bees for a second. is that a first? And then we'll get back to realignment. That's just on my mind. Is that a first for a game being moved or canceled, whatever it may be? I think that's the first time I've ever heard of bees being involved in that.
My memory tells me that there may have been a couple of movements in the valley when the killer bees, crossed the Rio Grande River illegally. So I think that happens. And if you don't know about Uvalde, it's named the Honey Bowl on purpose. So if you sit on the home side at a Uvalde game, you're going to have honeybees flying around you the whole time.
All right. I want to move on here, guys. One thing I wanted to mention, this actually happened after we recorded last week, but legendary Texas high school football coach G.A. Moore had passed away. I think it was announced last Friday. Obviously, Tim, he's right up there with you. 8 state championships. I mean, you see his head coaching record there on the screen. 426 and 22 overall, 9 ties. A career that, all over the place. Aubrey, Pilot Point, Salina, obviously, Sherman, and then actually started at Bryson. But just kind of wanted to get y'all's thoughts on Coach Moore, and if you had any interesting or maybe a funny story to tell.
He is legendary. He is one of the all-time greats in this business, and a lot of his assistants have come out and become head coaches, or his players have come out and become head coaches, and some assistants too, I think. But anyway, I wasn't close to G.A. Moore, but he's certainly one of the greatest all time to ever put a whistle around his neck in this state.
He was not just a really good football coach, but a heck of a Christian man, and really, really good guy. And he the footprint he left on Texas high school football is unbelievable. Not just games he won and the championships he won, but he raised a lot of good good young men in the state of Texas.
And Carl, I'll let you close this one out.
Well, it's kind of interesting that the Salina-La Vega game was canceled or at least postponed until Saturday because of weather. And maybe that's in honor of GA going to heaven. Incredible man, always kind, always had time for you. Two current coaches, head coaches that played or coached with GA have won state championships that I know of. And that's Bill Elliott, who's at Salina, and Chad Worrell when he's back at Brock. So just that alone shows you the pedigree of not only the kind of man he was, but what he passed on and what those coaches grasped and have continued.
Our thoughts, prayers, and obviously condolences go out to the Moore family. And guys, last week we talked about games that maybe we were attending. I thought we could kind of continue that this week, even if you're not attending. Games that maybe you have an eye on for any particular reason. And I thought we could each go through and, obviously tell what game you're paying attention to and why. And Bob, I'm actually going to start with you this week and see what game that you are paying attention to.
Yeah, well, out here in this part of the country, we got a pretty good game. Abilene High versus Permian, old rivals from way back in the old Southwest Conference. And, Abilene High is coming off a big win on their crosstown showdown against Cooper, 34-13, and then had beat San Angelo Central 42-21 the first game. So Permian slipped up. Their first game got beat by Plano High School, and then came back and beat an El Paso school last week. So that's a pretty good game. But I think I know what Carl's probably going to say because he visited one of these stadiums last week. But I'm going to say Weiss and A&M Consolidated is a game I'm going to be watching too. There's a lot of interest. I have a lot of interest in that game.
Carl, I'll let you go next.
Okay, well, the game I picked, I'm not going to it, but it's a traditional game. If my parents hadn't moved when I was 9 years old, I would have probably gone to the original school in Edgewood ISD in San Antonio, which was called Edgewood. They closed it probably 30 years ago. But it's Kennedy and Memorial, and the stadium's actually on Kennedy's campus. Kind of funny thing here, quick note. The Kennedy coach was telling me that they have not passed the ball at all this year. And he said he gave the OC permission to throw one pass this week. So that should be fun. But it's an ISD rival. Again, it's called the Salsa Bowl, and it's probably going to be the highest attended game in San Antonio. So if you can get a ticket and go see it, because it's what rivalry is all about.
And then Tim, I'll let you go, and then I'll wrap this one up.
Well, I think one of the biggest games in the state this year is going to be the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears and the Longview Lobos. Those are two really, really talented football teams, and they're going to play over at Kincaid Stadium, and I'm going to say that's going to be a packed house and a really, really good football game. Of course, our prayers are out. I don't know if you'll know, but Coach King had a little battle with mouth cancer and having some treatment done on that, but he's going to be fine. And I think his Lobos are going to be fine too. But this is going to be a heck of a football game.
I am actually going to do one that's just completely off the radar for everybody except for myself. Both of these teams 0-2 going into this game, but it has a lot of personal meaning for myself, and that's actually Comanche and Eastland. And the reason why, for most of our On Texas Football listeners know that my oldest son, Colt, he suffered a very severe, very life-altering football injury last November. And so he returned to the football field for the first time, put the pads back on here recently, and this will be his first game since then. And so, gonna see how he looks out there come Friday night. But so that's the one for me. And like I said, completely off the radar, but just with so much personal reasons going into it, that's the one I had to pick. So it should be interesting. what do you say to your team when you're in a situation like this, where maybe that start isn't how you planned or how you hoped? Like, how do you get them back on the, on that path to really get them going?
I think in DeSoto's case, it's totally different than any situation I've ever been in, because they're playing two of the best teams in the country, probably. First right out of the box, but I think they know what kind of team they have. They know the tradition that they have, and I really think they're going to be just fine. Once they get in their groove, and you're going to see a lot of teams. Buck said it the first week, you're going to see the most improvement after game 1 to go on to game 2. Then you'll see more improvement going into game 3. And then you'll see them start getting their roster settled and their starters settled and their rotation settled and their schemes settled, and then you'll see teams start maybe hitting their stride here in a couple of weeks. And that's when it really counts the most.
And then, Carl, my question to you is, have expectations changed?
Definitely not at DeSoto. You always think that you're going to get better, and you better get better, and you're going to straighten out and wind up 8-2 or 7-3, because they do have Duncanville on the schedule later. You get there and you get to the playoffs, and next thing you know, you're playing South Lake Carroll again. So I think, all that is probably going to be water under the bridge, and they'll just move on and be DeSoto of old.
And then one more question for you, Carl, before we get out of here. I know we talked about matchups that we're personally interested in, but what about across the state? Any big games, that may decide district, or that, just really change the outlook of a season this week?
It's interesting you asked that, but I mean, Port Neches Groves and LaPorte, both of those have state title aspirations. And so that's going to be a big game. Hopefully everybody stays healthy. Hopefully it's a great game. LaPorte doesn't like winning by more than 4. So you would think that's what's going to happen. But, Jeff Joseph and the kids at Port Neches Groves, they want to kind of redeem the poor season for them since he's been there by only going to the quarterfinals last year. But it should be a great game. We'll see. And hopefully whatever happens in that game, it doesn't change their focus and what they want to achieve through the whole year.
Good stuff. Thank you, Carl.
Hey, Buck, could I ask you one question, Buck? What was the best team you ever coached that didn't win the state championship?
Ooh, great question.
That didn't win a state championship?
Yeah, the best team you coached that didn't win state that you thought would.
Well, as a head coach, the 97 team, we were 14-1, one of the best football teams I've ever been around, but ran into a really, really, really good Commerce team with Steve Lineweaver. That was a really good team.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of the Fieldhouse. Of course, we want to thank you for tuning in each and every Friday right here on Texas Football. Big thanks to Coach Buchanan, Coach Shipley, and Carl Padilla as well. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Hope you all have an exciting weekend of football, Texas high school football especially, and we'll see you then.